Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji katika kipindi chetu cha Mamlaka Breakfast, na hii leo basi ikiwa ni siku ya Ijumaa, nimekuahidi ya kwamba katika awamu ya pili tutakuwa na mgeni mwingine, na bila shaka amekwisha fika, tumerejea naye tena. Tutakuwa tunazungumzia kuhusu Generation Z and representation, na tuweze kujua hasa kumekuwa vipi. Hasa tuliweza kushuhudia hali hapo jana, unapata kwamba vijana walijitokeza wengi katika maandamano, na hii leo basi tutakuwa tunazungumza na mwanaharakati Shikoh Kihika. Atueleze, je, ndio mwisho ama ndio mwanzo? Wanapata kwamba wakati mwingi vijana, inasemekana kwamba vijana wengi hawakupiga kura, lakini wameweza kuona ni kwa nini kila mtu anapaswa kupiga kura na kuweza kumchagua kiongozi ambaye anastahili. Lakini kwa haya na yote ni vyema pia tuweze kumsikiza kwa mgeni wetu, lakini ningependa pia kuweza kukusihi ya kwamba pia wewe unaweza kuwa mmoja wa mazungumzo haya kupitia kurasa zetu za Facebook Mamlaka Television, na pia vile vile katika mtandao wa TikTok unaweza kutufuatilia pale Mamlaka Television, tuweze kusikiliza pia kutoka kwako. Na unaweza kutumia nambari ya simu kutumia ujumbe 0721899899, ama pia ukatumia nambari nyingine ya simu 0700899899. Karibuni tuweze kuendana sisi sote kwa pamoja. Good morning.
Good morning.
Uko salama?
Kabisa.
Haya, umefika lakini kidogo location na ikakupotelea kidogo.
Ni kama nahitaji kujua Nakuru vizuri zaidi but finally nimefika.
Shikoh Kihika. Good morning.
Good morning.
Uko salama?
Kabisa.
Hebu tueleze, tumeweza kushuhudia hali hapo jana, tuweze kusikiza pia kutoka kwako. Shikoh Kihika ni nani?
Mimi ni mwanaharakati. Ni kijana ambaye anapenda nchi yake. Kiongozi wa kundi la vijana ambalo linaitwa Tribeless Youth.
Tribeless Youth,
but pia generally nitasema mimi ni Mkenya.
Mkenya. Ni kweli hapo sisi sote ni wa Kenya. Ama mimi pia ni Mkenya. Unapata kwamba kuna watu pia wanaishi humu nchini na sio wa Kenya. Na wana uhuru pia wa kuishi katika taifa letu.
Kabisa.
Kwenye magazeti vichwa vikuu tunaelezwa kwamba katika gazeti la Daily Nation a youth revolt, na pia vile vile katika gazeti la The Standard tunaelezwa kwamba Ruto, you betrayed us. Na bila shaka ukitazama kichwa ama vichwa hivi vya gazeti The Standard na Daily Nation kidogo zinawasilisha ujumbe mmoja. Na tumeweza kuona hali hapo jana the finance bill ikaweza kupitishwa. Licha ya kuwa vijana walikuwa wanaandamana mnamo kuanzia siku ya Jumanne. Vijana wameandamana. Do you think this is the end or just the beginning?
I will say this is the end to a beginning. Because we're just starting. And the last 1 week has taught us that young people are ready to revolt. Young people are ready to raise their voices. Young people are ready to defend their constitution. Kwa hivyo, when I look back, it's been 2 protests. I've been part of both. And the beautiful things that I've seen, these are very young people, no political sponsorship, no political affiliation. These are young Kenyans who have said enough is enough. So kwa hivyo kwangu ni mwanzo. And I love that the MPs are showing us a lot of arrogance. Ikiburi wanatuonyesha kila siku. It is also pushing us in a corner where we are like, we know you don't deserve to be there. We know we are not supposed to be paying you with our taxes.
And tukiangalia hii mada, you betrayed us. Why do you think the youth are now coming out claiming that they are being betrayed?
We're being betrayed because when people make promises, I don't know if we all remember, but Ruto went around signing charters with youth, women, boda people, mama mbogas. He signed so many charters that are legally binding. And that is one conversation that we need to have, because these are legally binding documents. So the conversation we need to start having right now is the question of, if you promised and you made us sign a contract that you will do, and then you go back and do the opposite. And with a lot of arrogance, you also tell us, even if we live in the streets, there is nothing you're changing. Then you have betrayed yourself and you've betrayed us. But most of all, you've betrayed our constitution.
And because I've also been looking at this finance bill, and the main agenda of the government, they are trying to figure out where will they get money to fund their projects, to pay the debts that we owe different countries. And when you look into it, you find out that we are the only people who have to pay that tax, so that we can pay those debts and promote, even we create job opportunities.
But did the same government tell us they're not going to borrow? Haven't we seen them borrowing left, right, and center? Everywhere they go, they're borrowing. So how is it helping? Because if you look at what they have in the current finance bill, is that they are reducing on the basics. Your education, your health, your transport is being reduced, so that they increase money to run State House, for the president to be able to travel, for their wives to be able to do the shenanigans that they're doing. So where does it leave the Kenyan who's paying taxes? So where are we claiming it's a debt repayment? And these debts we pay, who has ever done a public audit of these debts? Ni deni tunakwanga tukilipa ama ni watu tunakwanga tukisustain? Because the same people who are telling you we do not have money and we need to live within our means are the people coming to churches like these ones and giving 20 million as donations. Where does that money come from?
Comes from.
So it's a bigger question that we need to ask. And the biggest question is, until when shall we keep quiet in the faces of impunity? Until when shall we use the church and the Bible to credit people who are oppressing Kenyans every day?
Every day.
So that is the biggest question for me. But also these debts that you keep claiming we're paying, show us the document, show us a public audit, and tell us that we audited and this is how much we've borrowed over the years, and this is how much we owe to certain people, and so we're going to take ABCD measures over that. So I think for me that is how we need to look at it. But even just simple analogy, we might not have budgeted for a country per se, but even in your own house, when you have debts, you know how to look at your expenses. You know how to say, I'm going to spend this and this for this, and then I'll have this percentage to go to debts. You cannot lie to Kenyans that 60% of whatever you get in terms of tax or whatever they get in terms of income goes to paying debts. They are not debts we are paying. We know, we've seen you using private jets for 200 million, and you came to tell us that it's your friends with benefits.
Your friends are the one paying,
you know.
For that,
so
right,
exactly.
And you also, when we look at the projects that the government is planning to implement or to create in terms of creating more job opportunities, of course their focus is on the young generation. And the same people who the government is fighting for are the same people who are coming on the street demonstrating.
No, let me just correct you. The government is not fighting for any young person. The government killed a young soul yesterday.
And what makes you think like the government?
The government killed a young soul yesterday. Rex Masai was killed yesterday. That is not a government that is fighting for young people. How many young people? The first protest, we had 285 young people who were arrested. With the same government that is fighting for them. We have a majority, over 45% of the youth are not employed. And over 65% are underemployed. So show me how this government is fighting for us. But the same government is inflicting taxes every day that are affecting these young people. When young people go on TikTok and they find a new source of revenue, they want to tax it. When you buy your phone, they want to tax you. And
everything.
You know what? Even if you're unemployed, now the government needs money from you annually. So show me how this government is fighting for you. And you said you are a youth by the time I got here. Are you feeling like the government is fighting for you?
Okay. You know, when I say that we have leaders who are put in place, when we talk about it, the government is failing, it's not addressing the needs of the young people. Do you think like we also have leaders from the opposition rank who are not also who are not concerned about the well-being of the common people? So
this is the thing. A leader is a leader.
It's just the government.
A leader is a leader, and I'll say that. The person in the mantle to solve our problems is not the opposition. It's the government.
It's the government.
And those are the people we're holding accountable. Yesterday we saw the opposition coming out and voting no to that finance bill. It's only 2 people from the opposition who are bought, and we know they were paid from the toilets of parliament. We know that. And those 2 people, we are going to test the recall bit with them. Because then it boils down to the people and saying the sovereign power belongs to the people.
To the people, yeah.
And we are the ones to decide if your MP is not serving you. My MP is not serving me. He never talks in parliament, but yesterday he shouted the loudest, yes. So we need to start asking ourselves, how do we hold them accountable?
Yeah.
And if we cannot, how do we recall them? Because whatever they're doing has again and again, they're there to serve the people. And I'll take you back to Article 1 of the Constitution, where it says sovereign power belongs to the people, and the people might decide to exercise it directly or indirectly. When we go to the streets, we're exercising it directly. When they're in parliament, that is our indirect exercise. And they should have listened to us before taking that vote. So it's not done. We still have the third reading. And on Tuesday, we will be on the same streets, same power, more numbers until they listen to us. Yes.
And how do you think, like, do you feel like the youth are we well represented in terms of leadership?
Our youth in parliament are failing us. You understand? Like, yes, we are not fully represented, but the people we thought are young people, because this parliament has a lot of young energies, Lynette Toto being one of them. She's a Gen Z who voted yes to this bill. So maybe it's time we start asking ourselves, who are the people we're putting on these seats? Are we putting in people so that they go dress well, find a husband, find a wives, and build their houses? Or are we putting in people who are going to work for us?
Who are going to work for us.
So yes, we are not well represented because we still need more numbers in there, but we also need people who care for this country and who know what they are doing. And so that is our agenda in 2027. Yes.
And if you listen to, or rather you get yourself a copy of researches that were being conducted, they can say that the economy has grown. Why are we not feeling the growth of that economy?
I think, let's be honest. We live in a country where the government pays people to do surveys.
To do surveys,
to make them look good in the eyes of people they borrow from. The eyes of the West, fine. They are saying the GDP is growing. It's okay. But how important is the GDP growing compared to a common person affording a livelihood every single day? And the question is, how many people right now are able to take their kids to school? I was in Kilifi the other day, and a lady told me, you know what, I have 5 kids. I have 2 staying at home because I cannot afford to take them to school. So I need the one in Form 4 to finish, so that the one who stopped in Form 2 can come in and finish, so that the other one now can also come in and finish. Do you know how painful is that? For a person who pays taxes, for a person you're saying now needs to pay tax for sanitary towels. So that's how much you know. We don't have a country at this point. And I don't even know the conversation we're having when we're saying, oh, GDP is growing where?
Where? How?
How? Basic life, basic commodities, as guaranteed by the Constitution, that you should be able to effortlessly afford a basic livelihood. We cannot do that. Our medics are tired. You understand? Our hospitals are overwhelmed. Our morgues are overwhelmed. This is the first government we've seen morgue attendants coming out and saying we are going to protest. How bad can we get? And that is a big question, because when we talk about checking the government and making it accountable, or rather responsible on how to deliver some services to the common people, we must also ask ourselves, when the government comes, or rather during the time of election campaign, they say that they are going to place more money in the pockets of the common people. Yule kwa mfuko wa mwananchi wa pale chini. Do you think we failed ourselves to ask, how are you going to get that money? Because the guy, during that time, President Ruto came and said, pesa itakuwa mkono wa mwananchi. Mbona hatukumuuliza fedha zitakuwa zinatoka wapi? Ruto is a liar.
Is that the reason why we are getting ourselves into this?
No. I will not sit here and blame Kenyans for having a liar for president. I will blame them because they voted him in. You understand? But I will not sit here and blame them for the lies he's been peddling. Because Ruto is an unshaken liar. And he's not going to change today because we're saying it. The thing is, we do not need him in that seat. He can go lie in his home in Sugoi or wherever. But at this specific point, and something that we really need to reflect on is, yes, the way we vote. And I love it that we have a new generation that does not care about tribes, does not care about your political affiliation.
Yes.
It cares more about what you're bringing to the table. That's a good step towards it. You began by saying that the youth are now seeing the reason why they should go vote.
Yeah.
But no, sir. Even them not voting was a protest vote that needed to count for something.
Yeah.
But our IEBC under Chebukati was so compromised to even see it, because people who did not show up to vote were more than the votes that made Ruto the president. In a democratic country, we needed to sit down and ask ourselves, who are these people and why? Because this could have been a protest vote. You understand? Because then the idea is 50 plus 1 makes 1 president. We were more than 50 plus 1. But who sat down to ask ourselves, why didn't these young people vote? You understand?
Is it because of the system? They don't trust the system?
It's not about the system. It's about the poor leadership we have. It's about the choices that we are given. Because even those who voted, they did not vote saying that this is the person we have trust in. They voted saying this is the lesser evil. So they knew they do not have options. But because we've lied to ourselves that if you don't vote is equals to voting, then people needed to go and tick a box. Then maybe this is the time we should ask ourselves, as we talk to our people, as we educate our people, instead of teaching you that civic education means this is how you tick a box, right, so that your vote is not spoiled. We need to start teaching people why they vote and why it's necessary for them to show out there. And why it's also very important for them to say, we do not want you, we do not want you. And if all these leaders do not suit us, we are not going to show up and vote. Watch IEBC and they vote. Because that is the only way we'll start getting upright people in the system.
Now, before we get into much about who to vote, how are we going to conduct our elections, I also been thinking about when the government plans of employing more teachers, employing more doctors, and I was thinking, because on the previous financial year, they were collecting that tax, and it was not enough. Come in terms of resource allocation to counties, you also find out that we have counties that owe debts to some companies, like KEMSA. And I was thinking, if the county now they are demanding to get a total of 400 billion shillings, and we have debt, where are we going to get that money so that we can send to counties to cater for development and other projects?
So let me just ask you a quick question. The State House generally got a facelift of how much? Over 700 million. The president in the budget has around 21 billion alone, 1 man. The deputy has around, is it 18 or 16 billion?
16 billion.
1 man. The president's wife has a budget of 600 million, 1 woman. No constitutional office, 1, all right? No role. There's no specific work this person does directly to the taxpayers. The wife to the deputy, earned 500 million. These counties that are asking 400B serve people directly. This is the essence of devolution, was to bring services closer to people. So money needs to be devolved. National government needs to be having the least budget because their work is literally now being reduced to oversight and legislation. Money is supposed to be back in mashinani. You understand? But this whole shenanigan of, oh, we need money, it's not enough and we have debt. We are budgeting for corruption, literally. We are budgeting so that they are able to steal better. We are budgeting so that people like Oscar Sudi can open a club every other day. You understand? We are budgeting so that they have money to take to Harambes. But we are not budgeting so that that young kid in the village can get proper education. We are not budgeting so that you, when you step here at level 5, you can get the services you need. Because you'll get treatment, but medication you'll have to resort. You understand? We are not budgeting so that PGH, again, level 5, can get better equipped to serve its people. We have a hospital with a bed capacity of like 6 ICU bed capacity for adults and kids. What budget do we have for that? So we need to start raising to the question of, it's not about the debt. And I took you to the public audit of the debt.
Yeah.
We are stuck there. And we are stuck there because you're lying to us in the name of the debt. Because these monies you take, where do they go? Because that money does not come to buffer us, to help us where you've stolen.
Yeah.
So how are you telling us you're paying debts and we don't know where this money goes? Give us the audit.
Okay, fine. Mtazamaji, unanitazama. Hebu tueleze, unaonelea vipi? Ni wakati ambapo vijana inapaswa tuweze kusimama na kuweza kutetea haki zetu. Kwa sasa pia basi mtazamaji, tunapoendelea na kipindi chetu, ningependa pia kuweza kusikiza kutoka kwako. Iwapo basi una swali ungependa kuuliza ama una ujumbe ambao ungeweza kuwasilisha, ni vyema ukaweza kutumia kurasa zetu za Facebook, Mamlaka Television, na pia vile vile unaweza kunifuatilia pia katika ukurasa wangu wa Facebook, Nyongesa Derrick Official, ukaweza kunitumia swali pale nasi tutakuwa tunaangazia. Unahisi ya kwamba viongozi wameweza kutusaliti ama ni kuhujumiwa wanahujumiwa pale, ama tumezidi kuhujumiwa? Na je, tutakuwa tunachukua nini ama hatua zipi ambazo tutakuwa tunazichukua ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba angalau tunapata haki katika utendakazi ambao unatokana na viongozi? Na elezo pia, we have Engineers Land and Properties kwa wale ambao wangependa kununua kipande cha ardhi katika kaunti hii ya Nakuru. Basi unaweza kufanya hivyo kupitia kampuni hii ama shirika hili Engineers Land and Properties, ujipatie kipande cha ardhi kuanzia shilingi 1460, na bei hiyo inaweza kutofautiana kutoka sehemu ambayo ungependa kuweza kununua kipande cha ardhi, katika sehemu ya Naivasha, Gilgil, Rumuruti na pia katika mji huu mkuu. Kwa mengi zaidi ningependa tuweze kutizama kanda ya Engineers Land and Properties.
Dreams come to life when you own a piece of the future, a place you can proudly call your own. And that dream is now within your reach. Engineers Land and Properties Limited. Discover our projects, each offering you the opportunity to invest in your future. Piave Baraka Gardens, just 549,000 shillings. Miti Mingi Baraka Gardens, an incredible value at 349,000 shillings. Gilgil Langalanga Gardens, your dream home for only 349,999 shillings. Subukia Baraka Garden, secure your future for just 150,000 shillings. Sunrise Baraka Gardens at only 699,000 shillings. For more information and to reserve your spot, contact us on 0723 777 555. Visit www.engineerslandandproperties.com. Visit our offices in Nairobi at Unicity Mall Rooms 26 along Thika Road, Gilgil office next to Chawaka Supermarket, and Nakuru office CK Patel Building 8th floor Wing A. Engineers Land and Properties Limited. Secure your future with us.
Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji. Hiyo imekuwa ni kanda ya Engineers Land and Properties ambao wanapatikana katika mji huu mkuu wa Nakuru. Na iwapo basi ungependa kumiliki kipande cha ardhi, pia wewe basi fanya kile kitu tunasema kwamba conduct your own due diligence. Na pia kwangu pia upande wangu nimeweza kufanya uchunguzi, na biashara ambayo ninakuuzia asubuhi hii leo ni biashara ambayo iko salama. Engineers Land and Properties wanakuuzia shamba ambalo ni halisi. Ni kwa wewe kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba unatembea sehemu hizo. Siku ya kesho ni siku ya Jumamosi. Iwapo basi ulikuwa umeweza kutuma ombi la kuweza kuenda katika sehemu ambayo unaweza kununua shamba, basi unaweza kufanya hivyo, fika kwa wakati kuanzia saa 2. They will be having a site visitor, na ni kwako wewe kuweza kufika pale kwa wakati. That's all about Engineers Land and Properties. Tunaendelea na mada yetu. Tunazungumzia kuhusu Generation Z and representation. Do you think we are fully represented? Unapata kwamba kuna wale wabunge ambao tuliweza kuwachagua na ambao ni vijana wengi, unapata kwamba ni vijana. Do you think we are being represented well in terms of leadership? Hilo ni swala ambalo nakuuliza. Na hii leo basi ninapoelekea kwa mgeni wetu wa siku ya leo. The other time we heard the president talking about young men going to demonstrate. He says it is their right, but institutions are the one to make decision. What institution are they talking about in terms of decision making?
I don't know. Because I started by saying nothing supersedes the power of Article 1 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
That the sovereign power belongs to the people.
To the people.
That even those institutions he's talking about are run by my taxes. So I still run those institutions indirectly. So it still comes back to the people's power, people's rights.
Power.
So when I sit down and I listen to him, he just sounds like an arrogant person who does not understand what runs this country. He's forgetting that even the bed he sleeps on, we pay with our own taxes. You understand? The food he eats, because he doesn't know where it comes from, it's paid by that person who cannot afford a meal in their houses. So he has to understand that his arrogance is not helping. And I've never seen an arrogant leader. And I love the way Kenyans are quick at giving people names, because Zakayo feeds Ruto properly. And I think yesterday something really came out in the process, or throughout this process. A lot of things have come out, but one thing has stood out is that Kenyans are saying, whether we like it or not, this man has to come down.
Has to come down.
And I think when he got into power, I engaged a lot of young people, and we had this conversation about what Ruto's government looks like. And the one thing that I keep saying, even before this protest, there were two ways. He's either going to work and make Kenyans happy and restore the hope, or he's going to push us in a corner where we all will be in the streets. And he's successively pushed us in that corner. I know even the police, we are seeing tear gas people. If it's not for that uniform, they would be with us in these streets, because equally they are oppressed. We've seen more policemen and women die by suicide because of the struggles they're having in the system. But we don't talk about it because, well, they've taken an oath and they're supposed to serve. Service does not take away your human rights. And I want to just take even this opportunity to say just thank you to the police in Nakuru County.
The police in Nakuru County,
Because yesterday, they showed us the human part of them. At some point, they gave our demonstrators water. That for us was an act of kindness, an act of human. Though things went left towards the end, which we take full accountability, because some goons came in and we know who paid them. We know for sure yesterday was a success, and our cops did not come at us. And the OCS was very kind to even tell us, we know you guys are infiltrated, you people might want to now conclude. So we know for sure yesterday the policemen and women in Nakuru County stood with us.
And the reason why the young men are coming out to demonstrate it is because of the new tax that are being implemented on some commodities. And the government has also come up. We are being told that now the treasury will mull some budget that thinks that it may hurt more Kenyans. In what areas do you think that the government should, for them to implement, or rather implement this finance bill, where do you think that the government should at least subsidize some clauses?
We're not asking them to subsidize. We're asking them to do away with the finance bill.
The whole bill?
We need to start afresh. We're asking that because this finance bill is far-fetched. The president is known for saying we need to live within our means. He's the one who's not living within his means. So every time they say, oh, because they've been saying, oh, we do not amend bills in parliament, consider that we've done this. It's not a favor you're doing us. And we did not ask you to edit the document. We asked you to do away with this document. Because whichever way, and I'll take you back to what they're saying with the eco tax. They said the exemption is on locally made sanitary towels and diapers. Are you able to name two for me that are locally made?
No.
Because there are none.
There are none. We have
so we are still going to incur that tax. They said they're doing away with the motorcycle revolving tax. And then they ended up increasing a revenue in fuel. That every liter of fuel that you use will accrue 9 shillings extra. What does this mean to your daily lives? Because it means every other commodity will shoot up. So how good, even if you're trying to edit this thing, how good can it get? It's not going to get any better. So for me, it's just looking at this finance bill. Also, just to remind you, as a young person, something that I've been saying a lot, we're still dealing with a government that was saying we cannot budget for youth fund anymore. Yet you've not told us how many youth have benefited from this system and how much profit have you made so that you say it's now self-sustainable. So you're a government that does not care for your youth. And what you're forgetting is that youth is a ticking time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb. You can push them so far.
Yeah, and
so as I've said, just to go back to your question,
yeah,
I do not think this finance bill can get any better. So there's nothing we're asking them to subsidize. We're just saying do away with it. Calm down, let us sit down again. Let us say this year, last year, this is what you have. And we can audit and say this is where money went. And you can show us how much you stole too.
Yeah.
And then now we can be ready to do another one for this year.
And with all this budget that we are being presented, I think the president has his own advisors who sit down on the table and discuss. They say this one can be good for the people. Do you think also the people that surround the president have failed the whole country?
I always say we did not elect his advisors. We elected him.
Yes.
And I think he's a grown adult with 32 teeth and of sane capacity to make proper decisions. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm not sure there's somewhere we were told that our president is mentally challenged and cannot make certain decisions.
Yeah.
If that was the case, we would understand people are confusing him.
Yeah.
But we know Ruto is the man who does not listen. He does what he wants. And we've seen that even with this protest. We've seen what he's been saying.
Yeah.
We've seen even when Kenyans are saying you need to first sit at home and listen to us. He's been catching flights here and there and flying out to solve Yemen problem, Ukraine problems. He's able to solve everyone else's problem but his own. So we can no longer say, because even during Uhuru, we were very big at saying his advisors.
Yeah.
So when do they ever make a decision? Because millions of Kenyans are waiting on you to make a proper decision for them. So why can't you then tell your advisors, I do not think this is the right direction, because your advisors will not make the decision for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the person whose signature will go on that finance bill, if they really pass it, is Ruto William Samoei's signature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is more interesting, it's because we have also people from his own hometown.
Eldoret.
Who came out.
Eldoret came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a statement on the Standard newspaper. We have this young man called Abel Misui, who says he's from Kambi Samaki. He's saying when they elected the president, or rather he stays where the president sold chicken.
Yeah.
He also says when they voted for the president, expecting that he would create job opportunities for the youth. Right now, many young Kenyans are leaving Kenya for other countries. You should stop unpopular policies down our throats.
He forgot to say that the president is also helping us get jobs abroad. And that's absurd.
And do you think that is the best way to go?
No.
Going abroad to work.
No, it's not.
They claim that.
Are you telling us
abroad,
that Kenya, we've had enough labor and we've generated enough tax, so we are sending our labor force abroad? And how does that make sense? So for me, and I always say, the lie in the name of Talanta Hela, the lie in the name of the president looking for jobs abroad, it's modern day slavery. And why I'm saying that is that Ruto has become our latest colonizer. You cannot take your biggest workforce. Like, you do not know how much of a privilege you have to have over 70% of you active.
Yeah.
And how much revenue that is if you're to use popular policies that actually work for these people.
Yeah.
So when you tell me you're taking thousands of Kenyans to Saudi, how is that helping us? But then in your own wisdom, you just wake up and say, we also got to tax Kenyans who are working abroad. They're paying taxes to the countries they eat on, because that's where they get services. So you've come back, and how absurd it is that the same person is now saying, for your NHIF and your pension, you'll also incur a tax, where the money you pay, I don't know. It's like this nation is absurd. It's
okay.
absurd.
I heard from the people who were yesterday on the street that they are not going to wait for 2027. What steps are you going to take?
We're going to recall them. There's a recall clause in the Constitution. We're going to test that. It rather failed, but we have tested it. But if you're not worth having our office and eating my money, you're not going to be in that office. And we're going to start it back here at home. And I wish people of Molo constituency can actually start this fight. Because their MP is the face of impunity.
Kimani Kuria.
Kimani Kuria. A young man, nowadays a TikToker, who's failed to know his purpose in the assembly and his role in serving the people of Molo. We are going to test this clause with such people. Because when you fail the people, then the Constitution gives us the right to recall you. The process is tiresome and tedious. But we're going to try it because we are not going to get tired. We are already tired, so there's nothing we are losing in trying. So there's the recall clause. And as we are busy doing this, then that's why some of us in our organizations have taken IEBC to court. Because they need to constitute their home. Because we need this home ready when we need to do the by-elections. But also remembering there's some sub-counties that missed out on the vote because of the unconstitutional IEBC that we have. They cannot conduct any elections. So meaning these sub-counties literally were denied of their right to be heard.
Okay, as we wind up, I think youth, we hope that we are going to be listened to, tuweze kujua haswa ni vipi tutakuwa tunachukua hatua kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba iwapo basi tunahisi kiongozi ameweza kutufeli, tuweze kuona ni vipi mambo yanaweza kufanyika ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba kuna kuwepo na utendakazi ambao ni bora zaidi. Now, Kihika, Shikoh, hebu tueleze with your movement, tribeless youth, what do you do and what are your plans? Because you have got ourselves into this situation. What are you planning to do in order to fight for our rights generally?
We're not planning, we've been doing. We have litigation, or rather as tribeless youth, we work with young people, young creatives, young activists, to just educate the community, on governance, digital literacy, and we see what digital spaces are doing now, and at the same time, human rights. The biggest part of our human rights is the constitutional rights, because we believe that is the foundation of who we are as human beings in our country, but also the universal declarations of human rights. So as we go at the moment, I'm saying I love my youth because I see what they're doing and how they're distracting. But the bigger goal for us is now more litigation. We have done several litigations, starting with the litigation on finance bill. We were in court when the first finance bill was out last year. We went for the housing levy. It was still put on hold. We are also in court right now with IEBC. So we're going to do more of that. You'll see more of us in the streets, but we'll keep educating our people. And if it goes to an extent where we have to come and do graffiti on your walls to help you understand how your MP failed you, we are ready to do that as tribeless youth. But generally, just to say, for us as a people, and looking forward, is that I want to see more young people come out. We are over 53 million people. And amongst us, 70% are young people. So we have the vote, we are the people who can make the decision, and we need to see most of us out. And maybe just to say the last one is a personal call to the churches. We saw churches close doors when protesters were seeking safety. If you keep silent in the faces of impunity, even the God you serve is not proud. And Jesus himself was an activist. So the church cannot shy away from speaking the truth. And the church must not shy away from saying no to proceeds of impunity. You said it's not over yet. This is just the end of the beginning when we started this show. And what are we going to expect next week on Tuesday? More people in the streets. A lot of names and posters of your MPs and their faces and their contacts. And maybe, just maybe, we might decide to visit these MPs in their houses. It would be good to have lunch with the person who's oppressing you, or dinner with the person who's oppressing you, and just see how good their family eats when you sleep hungry. So we're going to have more young Kenyans come in and take over those spaces.
Yeah.
And we're not stopping. It's not only next week.
Yeah.
This is going on until the last bit, until the day we recall. But just maybe to conclude by saying,
yes,
my personal condolences to the family of Rex Masai.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we had to lose a very young soul, 24-year-old, a very promising soul,
yes,
but a patriot. So he's a martyr in this fight, and this is the reason why we are going out there. My demands to Senator Gloria for abducting Edgar. And we hope that you tell us where Edgar is, because you're not stopping. If it means coming to your houses to get him, we are going to come to get him. But also an applaud to every young Kenyan who showed up to the streets yesterday. The fights, the music, the songs, and the resilience in your faces is clear that Kenya is headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for agreeing to have you today.
Thank
here
you.
on Mamlaka Breakfast.
Thank you for having me.
It is our prayer for the whole nation. The leaders have seen. Vijana wamejitokeza wengi katika kila sehemu ya nchi. Na ni vyema sana wakaweze kutusikiza, kwa sababu siku ya Jumanne wiki ijayo wanasema kwamba watakuwa wanarejelea tena kwenye maandamano. Na ni vyema pia viongozi, kwa sababu natutazama, mweze kufuatilia, mweze kujua haswa, hauwezi kuongoza mahala ambapo kuna kilio kila siku. Hata wewe utapata kwamba kutakuwa gugumu sana kwako. Yule mtu ambaye anapeana kilio, basi ni vizuri kuweza kumsikiza. Basi mtazamaji, hapo ndio tunatia kikomo hadi siku ya Jumatatu panapo majaliwa, hapa kwenye kipindi chetu cha Mamlaka. Tutakuwa tunaendeleza mazungumzo haya. Mimi naondoka na kuacha mikononi mwa waelekezi wetu ambao watakuwa wanakuwekea vipindi ambavyo vitakuwa vinafuatia pale vya kukujuza, kuelimisha pia, na ni vyema pia tujiweke sawa hii weekendi. Basi tunaomba ya kwamba mambo yakazidi kuwa salama. Kwa heri na kutakia mchana mwema.